This video will provide you some concrete tools and knowledge about how to turn your meeting and the performance of your meeting or the results around 180 degrees, if it's my opinion. Because this video is about the check-in, and some of you might have already know what is a check-in, but a check-in is exactly that you tap into the temperature of the room. Not literally, but of people. How do they feel? What do they think about? What is relevant for them today? Are they really here, or are they thinking about their children at home because one of the children might be sick? All those things that might sound really not relevant for the meeting are super relevant for the impact of the meeting or workshop or event, whatever you're going to do with your participants or your colleagues, peers, etc. How can you start this check-in? How can you integrate it in your daily work, business, and if you would ask me, also in your life? Well, for me, it is simply asking the question, how do you feel? That can already change things around. So, for example, when you start a meeting, you will not run into the bullet points, into the agenda, into the program, but you will simply ask to the people in the room or in the space, and maybe you're not even the chairman, but you can initiate this. I'm just curious about how everyone feels, and how do you feel here in the here and the now? And this is nothing spiritual. This is very hands-on, pragmatic. You just want to tap into their to their minds. Where are they at this point of time? If there's a lot of people in the room, then make sure you make duo, so it doesn't take hours. Of course, this is not what you want to happen either. And then maybe you could ask in a plenary setting again, okay, what are the things that people still feel like sharing with the whole group? Because there might be some, things that people should know about. A little anecdote is that once I provided a workshop for the government of the Netherlands, and I started the workshop, and one of the participants looked kind of angry, in my opinion, and had a really white face. And I thought, as a trainer that back then, oh shoot, this is a participant that is not really engaged, is maybe skeptical, maybe doesn't like me. I was taking it a little bit personal that time. I improved that, but back then I felt uncomfortable, and I'm sure people share that sensation with me too, if you're sensitive for your environment. Anyhow, I did a check-in before I started the workshop, and he shared his experience of 5 minutes ago that he was almost hit by a bus, and he had an almost death experience. It was really real for him. So it could have been that his whole world was passing, in front of his eyes, and he felt terrified. His body was still in shock. And because he was expressing this with the group, he got a lot of compassion and empathy. And it was also very valuable information for me as a trainer that, this person was still kind of recovering from a shock. And simply because he could have shared it, there was room for that. And we were all listening, and he had the space to share. This already helped 50% of this terrible experience. And from that moment on, he was just fully part of the crowd and joined the workshop like anyone else. And maybe now it sounds really simplistic that this question would save the day, but in my experience, I'm still using it in every workshop I do. If I meet people, maybe sometimes I forget about it, but in general, I always try to ask people, how do you feel right now? People also like to think about these things because, that gives them time to really connect with themselves and feel more at ease. And if they're not, they can also say what's going on, and maybe you can help them or not. It's just out of their system. Another question that you could ask is a gratefulness question. And one of them is, for example, what is the thing that you're most grateful for today? I always like to make it really specific and tangible. And there's always something you can be grateful for, right? I mean, often we're really busy thinking about our works or worry about things we do not really have control over, which is a waste of time, doesn't really solve anything. So by asking people the question, what are you grateful for today? It could be that, at breakfast they had a nice conversation with their son, or the sun was shining, or the cat was cute that day in the morning. I don't know, it could be small things, big things. It's just about, getting to this different space in your mind and memories that give you a humble, warm feeling, which gives you a new point of departure to start your workshop with, or whatever you're gonna do. And believe me, people feel very much more grateful and warm and more connected, which also will determine the whole outcome of your meeting. Because in the end, it's all about connectivity and not so much of having the most brilliant idea or being right or wrong. It's about engaging people and to get to some conclusions or results of that day that are shared by many and supported by many, and not just by the few people that rethought the whole thing over and might be the only owner of that idea or bullet point or whatever it is. So I hope this was a very clear example for you, and you will start applying it today. I wish you all the luck.